Time for GarageBand Weekly here on Studio Live today. Welcome aboard, folks. In this week's show, we're going to be answering your questions about GarageBand. We're going to do some more Q and A here on the show. We're going to take a look at Songtember and how that's tracking for me and maybe for some of you as well, and talk about a few other bits and pieces going on around the world of GarageBand and the world of Studio Live today. I hope you're doing well, and welcome aboard. We'll get into the news and notes in just a moment. Say g'day to the folks who are here live. We've got Mr. Tremor Bear, we've got the wonderful Jade Star, we've got Thomas Christ, Mark Bro, and Phil Goon, who are all the early birds. I hope you're enjoying your worms over there, you early birds, you. We are going to jump into some news and notes here. Let's talk Songtember in a moment, but before that, this show, as it is each and every week, is brought to you by me. Yes, it's brought to you by Studio Live today, and more appropriately, the GarageBand iOS FAQ. If you go to studiolivetoday.com/GarageBand, you'll be able to jump yourself here to the FAQ. Right at the top there, you got your $10 course that can help get you kick-started in GarageBand. We've then got a whole bunch of playlists here. I always recommend this one, the GarageBand iOS Essentials, 40 videos to give you everything you need to know about GarageBand, or like about 20 hours worth of GarageBand goodness in there. If you want a bit of a quicker one, go the Quick Jams. They're the little 2 to 5 minute tutorials that can get you started. And then we break down all of the different things about GarageBand, everything you wanted to know and may have been afraid to ask. And I always say this every week, but this brain is much better than this brain, because this brain's getting older and worse over time. The electronic brain there at the FAQ is continuing to be sharp and on the ball and focused. It doesn't degrade over time. So I highly recommend, if you got questions, jump on over there to the GarageBand FAQ. Speaking of questions, if you have questions here today, all I need you to do is put a big fatty old Chungus Q or the word question in capitals at the start of your comment. And here's what usually happens. There's no questions for the first 10 minutes, and then we have a pile of questions right at the end. So if you want to get your question answered, I highly recommend, if you're here already and you're here on time and you're here as an early bird, throw your question in now. I'll tag them. Even as we're going through the other stuff here, I'm going to tag them like I did with Rockabilly's question that they've just thrown in there, and then we'll circle back around to those as we go. Let's talk about Songtember, shall we? If you have been living under a rock and you don't know about Songtember, Songtember is our Song in a Month challenge here on Studio Live today. I was about to search songtember.com. I don't actually own that. I wonder, maybe we should buy that today. Let's just do a live buying of a URL here on the show. But no, if you go to studiolivetodaycom/Songtember, as I have attempted to do here, there we go, you'll get all the Songtember info. So there's the video playlist that can cover all the videos. So I've taken you step by step through my process of creating a complete song here in the month of September. You can submit your song. Next week, in 6 days' time, we're going to have our official Songtember edition of Your Music Live. That's my weekly independent music show. And let me tell you, we've already got enough submissions to probably fill a show. So we may be spilling over, we may be running late, or we may be doing a part 2. We may have so many Songtember songs that we have to go with another second part of that. So we'll see how we go with that one. You can also join all the different places, the Facebook group, the Discord, follow me on all of the social places, and you can even come down here and check out all of the different stuff, and our friends of Songtember, including Jade and Thomas and Leela and Keonra and Tommy Jack. And guess what? Jamie Mallender, I still haven't actually added him in there. I need to do that. Jamie Mallender also doing some cool Songtember related stuff. So where am I at with my Songtember song? Well, last time we checked in here, around about 4 or 5 days ago, we were here. We were working on my final mix, and I'm very happy to say that not only is the final mix Dunsky, she's in the bag, she's done and dusted, thanks to all of your feedback and input and support on that show. And again, jump to the playlist and catch that one if you missed it on the replay. But it's actually now also been mastered. Yeah, because I'm a lazy grown-ass man, I was getting to the point where I was about to do a mastering show. I was literally about to set up the live stream for a mastering show that I was going to do. And then I look back on my videos and I'm like, I've covered mastering here in GarageBand, in Final Touch, in Audio Master Pro, in Grand Finale. I've covered those in detail multiple times. And you know the thing about mastering? It hasn't really evolved over time. It still all comes down to some compression, some limiting, and maybe a little EQ. So the mastering process, I didn't feel that I needed to cover it again. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. And at the same time, at the same time as I was thinking all those things, Jade messaged me, and she's like, "Hey, want me to master your track?" I'm, yes. I don't think she'd even got the whole sentence out, which is hard to do on a messenger, because how did I know she was typing it? Well, because I'm everywhere. I'm omnipresent, apparently. So as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, yes, yes, please. So Jade's actually gone ahead and done that. And that leads us into my next topic here, which is that you can actually see exactly what Jade did, because earlier today, you know that thing where it's just like you're watching the golf or you're watching sport and they're just like from earlier today, and then they show some replays. That's what this is. So here at the 45-minute 50 mark, so just as well as releasing her song Timber Songs using DistroKid, because of course she did, DistroKid are the best, then you can go ahead and watch her do that. And then at the 45-minute mark there, she masters my song. So you can see the full process that Jade uses, and I've linked that one down in the description of this very video with a timestamp that'll take you straight to that. But of course, watch the whole show. I assume you're going to be watching all of Jade's shows anyway. But go and watch that, and then in the next couple of days, you'll get to actually see a little bit of that. I'm going to chop up some of what Jade did in there so you can see the process here on the channel, and then I'm going to listen to those and select, because she actually did 3 masters. Not content with doing just one, there are 3 masters in there. So I'm going to go and check all of those out, and I'll be doing that on a future video, probably in the next 24 hours. So keep an eye on the sky. No, keep an eye on the channel, and you'll be able to find that. And absolutely, as Thomas says here, Jade does the mastering of other people's tracks for the low price of as little as $1 per month. Yeah, that's right. So you can join Jade's Patreon at the link that Thomas has put there, patreon.com/Joja, and you can actually get your songs mastered as well. And at the moment, get in now while Jade actually has the capacity to pretty much do anything. There's not very many times where she doesn't have the ability to master songs, especially if you give her some notice. So go ahead and do that. I'm a fussy grown-ass man. Yeah, I know. But it's going to be like in the Simpsons movie where he's like, I've got 5 plans. And I'm just like, number 2. And you're like, oh. Are you supposed to read them first? I'm like, number 2. But yes, always go number 2. In fact, Jade's done something really good here, because I learnt this in the business world, in the corporate environment, is whenever you're giving something to someone, and look, usually it's a manager. I'm very far from Jade's manager, but when you're giving something to a manager, you always give them 3 options. You give them one option that's way out there that they're going to go, no way we could do that. You give them one option that's like super meh, and then you give them something in between. Have you ever noticed that? Like, it's why when you go and you buy something, you buy a subscription plan, there's like the $9.99 plan that's like, you get to read this website once a month, and you're like, that's terrible value. And then there's a $49.99 plan where it's like the mega super bonus plan. You get to do everything and my firstborn child. And it's like, no, that's way too expensive. And then they're like, oh, look, most popular, $19.99. Actually be able to have access to the website, but you don't get my firstborn child. And you're like, okay, I'll go with the $19.99. So 3 options. Always go with the 3. Jade says she knows. She thinks she knows which one I'll choose. We shall see. We shall see. I've got one more bit of news and notes, and then we will say g'day to all the folks who are here live. We've already got some questions racking up there. So, yeah, if you do have questions, please do drop them here. Just put a big Q in front of your question, and we'll answer those. Q or the word question, and we'll answer any questions that you have. Also got a few questions and something fun that I wanted to try that someone actually reached out to me during the week, and hopefully we get time to play with that. So the last bit of news this week, and I mentioned over the last couple of weeks that Apple had their big announcement where they announced, and now they have released the iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro. That's the one with the dynamic island. Has anyone seen the TV ads with the dynamic island where the little notch is going in and out? Look, I don't hate the dynamic island. If you're not familiar, I should probably show you what the dynamic island's all about. It's replacing the notch. So on the new iPhone Pro, this notch, it doesn't go all the way to the top. It's a cutout in there. But what they've done is, quite sneakily and cleverly, they're now utilizing that space. Now, obviously, that's not a screen. The whole reason the notch is there is it's a camera. But they're using this dynamic island. They'll probably show it if we go into the iPad Pro. Let's learn more about the iPad Pro, iPhone Pro. So this, see how it does that? Like, even though the very middle of it is not a screen, it's a camera. It's a camera and a sensor. It's jumping in and out to do other little things. So it's moving things around there. So yeah, lots of cool things that go on there. So am I going to buy one? Not yet. I'm usually about a generation or so behind. That's why I've got the iPhone 12, and we'll probably still be rocking that for a while. But it is interesting. It's interesting to see. We'll continue on. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is that there's obviously a new Apple Watch, but the other thing that I mentioned at the time that I will be buying was these suckers, the AirPods Pro 2. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with my original AirPods Pro that are now sitting in a drawer. They may or may not have had an adventure into a toilet and onto the ground and into the gutter and been cracked and smashed and done things. So let it be said that I'm taking extra special care of these ones because I don't want the same fate to bestow these. But the AirPods Pro 2, they are ridiculously expensive. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that most people should be spending what is $249 US or $399 Australian on a pair of earbuds. But for me, I spend half my life listening to stuff, whether it's editing video on my iPad or my iPhone, listening to music, preparing for shows, listening to podcasts, watching other people's YouTube videos, engaging in live streams. I've almost always got something in my ear. And these are the most comfortable. The AirPods Pro are the most comfortable to the point where sometimes I forget I've got them in. I was about to do the show today and then I realized, oh, Johns, you've still got an AirPod in your ear. So I just find them super comfortable. The battery life on these has improved, and I found the battery life on the last one's pretty good because the thing about the AirPods is the charger, like each one holds a charge, but then the actual case holds about 2 times as much charge as well. So these will do, unlike my iPhone sometimes, these will do a full day of me being out and about. I like to go out walking. I like to be out for several hours at a time. I never have to worry about these, which was my number one problem with wireless buds. Now, these are not for music production. Can we just be really clear on that? You do not produce music with these. They're good for reference listening. So if I want to hear what it sounds like, because they do hype the bass a little bit, these aren't no flat monitors. They will hype up your bass because that's what most people want. That's what Joe Public wants. So they will hype up your bass. And of course, they have the latency issue. They're going to have that lag and delay. So if you're sitting there going, do I buy, because here's the thing, for $249, you could buy yourself a 24-bit audio interface, a pair of Sennheiser HD280 Pros, and like an AKG D5. You could kit out a studio basically for the same price as buying these, and you could definitely 100% buy yourselves some pretty darn nice studio monitor headphones for the cost of these. What are these for though? They're for people like me. They're for people that are on the go that just need something that can be in their ear so that they can have sound. And that's what I like about them. The other new feature that was added to these is the volume control. So one of the biggest problems I had before is that I couldn't control. I hope that's not changed my audio then. Hope it's not jumping around here, but I wasn't able to actually change the volume. But now you can swipe up and down on the little stem, and that's got volume change. So that's the biggest change from these from the last one. So do I recommend them? Yes. For people exactly like me. If you're not pretty much exactly like me, save your cash and buy yourself something nice. All right. I'll see if we've got some more that I need to tap on here to make sure that I've captured any questions, and then we will jump on in and start answering some, shall we? So that is our news and notes. G'day to the other folks who have joined us here. G'day to Papa Tom Caraher. Hello to Rena, who's dropped on in. Hello to Al Davis Music. G'day Frank Terzo. Thank you for being here. Joe and Barry Glenn. Your new songs, plural, are sounding great for Songtember. G'day to Deep Gravity. Hope you're doing well, Cam. I saw Dominic Tarragorosa. Our old mate Dom has checked on in as well. And anyone who I've missed, don't worry. I still love you. But I probably just missed your comment. All right, let's dive in and start looking at some questions, shall we? Once again, if you do have questions, all you need to do is put a big Q or the word question in front of your question. Do like the cool folks here, like Rockabilly did. He says, is there any way I can play a difficult piano or guitar part at half speed and then speed up that track to match the song like Sir George Martin did in My Life? Yeah, so there's a couple of things on this one here, Rockabilly. And so if it's virtual, it's dead simple. So if it's a virtual piano or if it's a virtual guitar or a virtual instrument of any kind, that is dead simple because something like GarageBand or pretty much any DAW will do beat matching, will absolutely do that. If you're playing guitar or singing or playing a piano that's acoustic and you're recording it as an audio file, it's a little bit harder. But there are some tools that can actually help you do that, but they're kind of outside of GarageBand. What GarageBand doesn't do is things like tempo matching, beat matching, pitch matching. Other apps like Cubasis and Audio Pro do a better job of that, and obviously if you come out into Logic Pro and things like that on the Mac or Cakewalk on PC, they do a great job of beat matching and pitch and tempo matching, basically. You're never going to get it perfect quality because remember, you are compressing a sound, you are changing the sound. If you're going from slower to faster, it's better because you actually got twice as many samples that you're crushing down into half as much. If you're trying to stretch something, a lot of people have found this out the hard way. If you take something that's at 200 BPM and you stretch it out to 100 BPM, it's having to fill in the gaps. It's having to do some guesswork to fill in the gaps of those samples. So it's either going to kind of sound a bit crackly in between, or it's not going to get it quite right. You're going to get some artifacts and other things in there. But let's just give you a quick demo of what we're talking about here for those that aren't 100% following along here. What I'll do is I'll come out of here, not so I don't ruin my project. I'll duplicate it out, and we'll give this a name so that I don't get confused as to what it is, and we'll just call this demo. So this is the demo version we're going to use for this one, and I'll delete it afterwards. So, for instance, if you were trying to play a really complicated key part to this, let's solo out these drums. So these are Jade Starr's drums that she added for my Songtober track. So let's just say that you had a song that was at this pace. We'll turn the volume up. Actually, what we'll do is we'll unplug. You get to see behind the scenes here because I haven't got this turned on. Actually, no, I should just be able to turn it on. I didn't have my powered USB hub turned on, which meant my audio interface isn't turned on. So if this all works, it should pop up in about 2 seconds and say, would you like to monitor your audio through your audio interface? And if it does, we'll be good to go. If it doesn't, we'll have to unplug and replug. So it hasn't. Here's the thing. Universal fix is always turn it off and on, or in this case, we unplug, go to our test pattern, and we replug. And that'll actually drop us out and then drop us back in again, which we will be able to do. Boom. And now it should be either automatically playing through this audio or it'll pop up again. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Let's just hit the play button, see if it works. We're good. And what I'm going to do is I turned this down slightly to send to Jade for mastering. So we'll just double tap to bring that back up. So let's say for instance that we wanted to play along a really tricky keyboard part to these drums. We would grab our keys, so we'll just go to the keyboard here, and let's just say we wanted to just go with the standard piano. Go with the piano. Now I don't have my MIDI keyboard plugged in here, but let's just say we were like, just going to have to use my fingers, and I'll just pop your question down there so we can see the screen, and I'll turn that one off as well so we can see what we're doing here. So if I wanted to record along to these, and we hit the record button, let's just come in here and we'll wait for those drums to kick in, and we'll pretend we're playing in a part here on the keys. 3, 4. Yeah, done really well there, right? So that's what we can do to record along there. Now, what you can do here in GarageBand with virtual instruments is just slow the temporarily, and you can play this again. So whoop, didn't need to do that. So if we come up here to our settings, and in other DAWs, it's pretty much in similar sort of places. So the tempo is 110. What if we wanted to like halve this speed? Well, all we need to do is drop this tempo down to 55, because I can drive 55, and then we can do the same sort of thing. So let's just delete out this one. And so we wanted to do that same part. We can hit the record button here, and it's going to be super slow. Do. And stop. So if we play that back, obviously it's still going to be at that speed. But then, of course, we can come to our tempo and let's bump it back up to 110. By the way, with your tempo here, don't sit here tapping that. Tap in the middle there and drag your finger up. You can drag up and drag down really fast here in GarageBand. It's not super intuitive, but yeah, if you're here tapping, just tap and hold and drag up, you can really quickly go up. So if we bring it back to our tempo of 110, then we can play that much faster part without having too many problems. Now, the issue here is the same thing won't really work if you're playing in an audio track, because you can't actually change. Once you play in an audio track, if you change the speed, the audio track doesn't change. To give you an example of this, let's do that. Let's change the tempo. We'll bring my vocals in here. So here's my lead vocals. So we'll bring the lead vocals here along with the drums. Never one for going hard. So let's just say that I wanted to change this tempo because I had a hard bit here. If we did the same thing again here and we dropped our tempo down to 35, bump, like we did with our virtual instrument, and now we try it. Never one for going hard. It's just put the drums in halftime. And obviously if you wanted to drop it by 10 or 20 BPM, it's not going to work. So you do need to keep that in mind, that it won't work with your actual your real instruments. If you do want to do that and you want to record it at half speed, the simplest way is there's an app called Audio Stretch. So if we come over here and we search Audio Stretch. It is this one. There's a light version, or you can get the pro version. It's about $10. And all you do with this is you bring in an audio file, and you can actually adjust the speed. So you can see here I've already adjusted the speed up to 1.5. So let's just say that you recorded something at its regular speed, which would be this, and then you wanted it double speed. Well, you can just come here into Audio Stretch and you can double the speed, and you can quite easily, and then bring it out. So what you'd need to do is record your guitar part or record your keys or whatever it is into GarageBand at halftime, pull it into Audio Share, and then double the speed, and then pull it back in. And then it will do that algorithm for you. And of course, other apps, BandLab has a pretty good engine for doing that sort of thing as well. Logic Pro is probably the king of being able to do that. So hopefully that helped you out. Tom and Co, hello to you. Thanks for being here. Lesson, yes, don't be overly critical. That's a lesson to learn every day, Phil. But yeah, thanks for putting it out there. It is difficult not to be, but yeah, it's so easy to be critical of yourself and to self-criticism. Look, self-reflection is important. Self-criticism, not so much. Not so much, but yeah. Hello, Barry, back from the sheep dip as well. Very cool. So Phil says, I'm in a super good mood today. My friend Mark, who has been a touring musician for a while, came over today to discuss forming a serious music duo. Very cool. That is great news. Excellent stuff. Yeah, collaboration on your music is always a good idea. There you go. There is Audio Stretch there. Oh, look at this. Hockey, baseball, wiffle ball music. My favorite NHL team is the Boston Bruins. Nah, you got to be kidding me. You don't want to go to Boston and watch the Bruins and get a hoagie and, oh no, I don't know. What do they have? A Philly cheese? No, that's Philadelphia. Don't worry. I don't know. Boston. Wait, Boston, they're the ones that say their R's a lot, don't they? I parked my car at the, oh God, stop the accents. I've got to stop the accent. Who are the Rangers? I say that jokingly, but the problem is that here in Australia, you wear like gear, especially NHL gear around, and then you see someone else wearing an NHL thing, and you know, Rangers are popular, LA Kings are very popular. People wear LA Kings hats without even knowing what sport the LA Kings play, and I'm like, oh, you're a Kings fan, yeah. Do they think they've got a chance this year? And they're like, huh? I'm like, Drew Doughty, you know, he's getting a bit old. What? So yeah, doesn't happen. Crimes against accents, I know. And my lawyer has constantly recommended that I stop doing accents, but I just don't listen to him. I don't listen to him at all. Let's grab our next question. Hopefully that helped you, Rockabilly, and anyone else that's got those same sort of questions. Did you increase volume on backup vocals in the final mix? I think I did. A little bit. I don't know that they went up a whole lot. Let's find out. I can't remember. I'll get rid of that piano track. we don't need that in there. I think, yeah. Look, I didn't want them to be overpowering, the backing vocals, but I'm pretty sure, especially the "Please Take Me Home" bits, I did up a little bit. Never had an urge for starting fights. Kinda happy. Yeah, so I did give them a little bit of a boost there, and then when we got down here to the final bits and pieces, I'm almost sure I did bring everything up here. So I'll quietly creep up the backstep. Yeah. I'm a grown-ass man, please take me home. Yeah, so I really wanted the lead vocal to shine through there, but I think the backing vocals do a good job supporting there. But guess what? You'll be the final judge because the song's Dansky. There are no changes coming there. Have you ever connected your music with any sync libraries, etc.? That's a great question. I got a question. Actually, I've had a couple of people ask me about sync libraries in the last week, and I have never really explored it. If there's anyone here in the chat that has any experience with music syncing, and if you're not familiar with the term, music syncing or sync licensing is the process of releasing your music or putting it into a library where things like podcasts, TV shows, video games, movies, any sort of media can actually license your movies and sync, which basically means they're adding your music to, or your music or your sound design or whatever it is, to their movie, their podcast, their TV show. So whenever you see, especially with the absolute abundance of reality TV shows, there's actually quite a lot of people that are making a pretty darn good living by just creating fairly generic sounding background music. Like, when you're watching anyone like property shows? I'm a bit into the property shows these days. So you're watching like House Hunters International, and like they're like walking around and there's like a boom, once you notice it, you'll hear it in everything. There's an abundant amount of music. Now, all that music needs to be created by someone. It can't be commercial copyrighted music. So what these companies do, what HGTV will do, is that they'll go to a sync library and say, right, we need you to give us a country sounding song for this intro bit. We then need a rock kind of song for this bit. Then we need a kind of tropical song for this bit where we're showing them on the beach. So that's what sync licensing is all about. Now, there's a guy called Bobby Osinski, and I'm pretty sure he's done some like webinars and things. He's a producer and a really good dude. And I think I watched recently something about him on sync music. Now I can't find it. It might have been a webinar and now it's not there. But if you go onto the YouTube, you know what these things are like. If you search just music syncing, then be careful what you listen to, because there are some places that are basically kind of scammy, that will say, yeah, upload your music, and then you read the fine print and they take 80% and you get like 20%. Don't do anything like that. So make sure that you check in with some folks. But yeah, if anyone's got any good tips, or if anyone's experimented with music syncing before, it's interesting. And it's something that I've always wanted to do. So maybe I need to do it. Maybe I need to be the guinea pig, which is what I usually do. I'm glad sugary sweet ukulele songs are going away. I like a bit of ukulele. I bought a ukulele. It's over there. Oh, you can't see because it's not. I've got my camera kind of tilted today, don't I? Let's fix that. There you go. Look, my new uke. I'll reposition myself mid-show. I can't get far enough across. But yes, there's my ukulele. I just bought a very cheap $30 ukulele because my daughter's learning at the moment, and I'm trying to get the kids more into music. And I said to her, I want to learn ukulele. And she's like, I just learned this song and I've learned these 4 chords. And I'm like, cool, I'll buy a ukulele and you can teach me. And she's like, yeah, right, you'll buy a ukulele, Dad. And I'm sitting there on her bed, about to go to bed, and I'm just like, Amazon, ooh, $30, prime delivery, coming tomorrow. There you go, bud. We'll play some uke tomorrow together. And we did. We sat down and we played some ukulele, and now I can play half of Riptide by Vance Joy. There you go. Who says you don't get weird sideways stories around here? Not me. Need a cough. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience. Thank you very much. Hello to Soulrack M7. Good to see you here. Kalito. I'm just waiting for a big update for GarageBand. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we're getting anything. I'm always hopeful when there's like iOS 16 or now iPadOS 16. I'm always hopeful that we'll get something for GarageBand. What did we get? We got that pack. We got the hip hop pack, and we got the promise of future compatibility with non-class compliant USB and Firewire type devices. Not Firewire. It's a blast from the past. Thunderbolt devices. We didn't get that. Back from Puerto Rico after we got hit with a powerful hurricane. Oh, Fiona, with no electricity, no water, and no communication, no signal. Well, that sucks. That really does suck. Hope you and everyone is all good. This is a question to Jade. Are you a producer by occupation? Jade is an everything by occupation. Jade occupies every space that you can imagine. No, Jade does. Jade is a what do we call ourselves? Content creators, influencers, music educators. Yeah, you call yourself whatever you want these days on the internet. You don't need any formal qualifications. It's weird. I know I've talked about doing my taxes because it's kind of been dominating my brain because I've had to be thinking about it for a long time. But I'm going to meet with my accountant today, which sounds a lot more classy than it is. It's literally just a dude that I pay because I'm a grown-ass man and I'm lazy and I don't like to work out numbers. So I'm going to meet with my accountant, and every time it's like, I think I'm called a video, because they don't really have my occupation listed on the list of 100 jobs that you can be. So I'm pretty sure I'm a video producer, which makes me sound like I, have a prawn set in my basement, and I'm just like, here's my casting couch. Anyway, we're getting off track, but getting very weird. So no, Jay, like all the rest of us, is just an awesome by occupation. Mrs. Gravity got the AirPod Pros for her B-Day in Feb. She loves them. Yeah, look, and again, I hate that I love them. Do you have that relationship with anything? Is it just me that I don't like that I like them? And again, when people talk to me that it's like, oh, you got the AirPods Pro too, are they good? I'm like, yes, don't buy them. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, they're great, don't buy them. They're probably not for you because you're not going to get the value from them. But for me, they're 100% worth it. And yeah, the audio quality is really good. And the microphones are better on these too. And the spatial audio is better even though I turn it off. If you've ever used a spatial audio, it's that thing where when you move your head and you're looking at a screen, it kind of tries to move the audio around, which doesn't work for me for a number of reasons. I've only got one eye, so that, I'm always looking slightly off at a different angle than most people are. So yeah, spatial audio is not my friend, but it is available on those if you want them. Hi, Al Davis. What is the best way to import sound font files in GarageBand iOS? I've been asked about this before, and I'm sure I looked it up, and I'm sure someone told me there's a way to do it, but I don't think I've ever done it. Sound fonts. I'm looking it up on YouTube. I think you can do it. Install sound fonts in GarageBand. You could definitely do it in GarageBand regular. I'm looking over here. Where's Patrick? Where's our friend? Where's our GarageBand guide friend when you need him? So yeah, there's plenty of things here about GarageBand Mac and sound font files. I don't think, how do you sound? There's so many here that says how to. It must be possible in GarageBand Mac. I'm almost positive that you can't in GarageBand iOS, but this is where someone in the chat's going to go, Johns, you're totally wrong. Sound fonts are 100% compatible with GarageBand iOS. So I don't know is the short answer to that. If somebody knows, as per usual, please let us know. Let us know if you're here in the chat and you've played around, you've dabbled with sound fonts in GarageBand, then let us know. If you are, if you've got a video or you've got something you can do, then go with it. And sound fonts, to me, I'm not 100% sure what they are. I think they're like FM instrument type things. Are they like virtual instrument sounds that you bring into your track? I'm showing my ignorance here. Let's Wikipedia it, shall we? Let's Google it. What is a sound font? Let's just see. We'll read it out here. Sound font from Wikipedia. So sound font is the brand name of collectively the file format associated with technology that uses sample-based synthesis to play MIDI files. Yeah, it was first used in the Sound Blaster or 32 for its general MIDI support. So yeah, it's basically like additional MIDI instrument type sounds. So a synthesized, what do they say? Sample-based synthesis. So instead of just synthesizing things with an actual wave and knobs and dials, it uses samples and creates a synthetic instrument from that. So sounds like something that I should explore, because if it's possible and if there's no one that's made a video about it, I guess I should probably do that. Jay just had a show on some app that uses sound fonts. There you go. So maybe we need to explore Jade's catalog and find that video that has sound fonts. Yeah, so I don't think direct in GarageBand. There would probably, collection of instruments and sounds, a bank of sound. Okay, so it's a collection of sound instruments, similar to what MIDI is, where you've got a whole bunch of instruments in like a pack that goes. Worth exploring. But yeah, I don't think, like, there's no way to use them directly in GarageBand. I would imagine you'd have to be using either an AUV3 plugin that supports imports them and then plays them, similar to something like Numa Player. So I think the reason no one really looks at it is there's so many different ways that you can get. There's iSymphonic, there's all the Swarm apps, there's Numa Player, which is the free app that you can put some sounds in. There's like old school stuff like, what was that IK Multimedia one? I used it ages ago. It was called like Sample Tank. So yeah, there's a heap of those sort of things that you can use. So I don't think you can bring it in directly, but there'd probably be a way to do it. Let's see what other questions we got. Hello, Caleb. How do you make industrial music in GarageBand? Very carefully. No. Look, there's some industrial sounds. Thomas Christ would be your expert on this sort of thing. Yeah, look, industrial music, distorted guitars, sort of trashy in a good way sounding drums, big basses, big powerful crunchy sounds. Yeah, there's a heap of samples that are in there. There's not a specific industrial pack, but the good thing is, and again, to go outside of GarageBand, in fact, I've never actually looked for industrial specifically in our friends over at BandLab. So why don't we load up BandLab and see, because one of the coolest things to do is grab some extra, no, that's our Wikipedia, is to grab some extra things. Let's come out here. Can I just rant on this for a second? Can I please? Like, I can't even see where to turn. Oh, it's up the top there. Can apps that ask you to turn on notifications every time you open them and not have a way to say, never ask me this again, please burn in a dark, dingy corner of heck? I love you, BandLab, but seriously, I do not want your notifications and I never will. So please give me an option to not ask me that every time I open your app. Thank you. Because look at this. To turn, big button here, turn on notifications. Look where I have to click to not. And it's not no, it's later. So they're saying everyone will always want to turn on notifications. They just might not want to do it right now. And I'm like, no, I will never want your notifications. It's the sort of thing that makes me just throw my tools down, drop the mic and walk away from an app, which I won't do with BandLab because it's a cool app. But please, for the love of your deity of choice, please just give us a never ask me again. For everything you say about Apple, that is a good thing about them. They always have an option to tell something to piss off. Never ask me again. Just don't bother me. Anyway, I'm getting a bit passionate. I'm getting cartoon level hateful about this where I don't really need to. So let's go in here. Let's create ourselves a new track here in BandLab. Open the studio. And we'll go into our sound library, because if you ever play with BandLab, I know this is a GarageBand show, but we go to the BandLab sounds. If you're trying to make a style of music, like trying to make some lo-fi or some, well, actually lo-fi you're pretty much covered. 808s, no, you got plenty of them in GarageBand. But let's just say you do want to make some industrial music. Come in here to your BandLab and search industrial. And what have we got? We've got industrial designs, we've got industrial metal. So there's a couple of industrial. I think I might have even played with the industrial metal before. Let's see what industrial designs has in it, hey? Let's see, we've got like metal try. That's kind of cool. Bang! What's this one? That's kind of cool. So let's make a quick sound in here. So if we add in that track, we'll add that one here, we can now just play that. Let's just loop that out real quick. Boom. Oop, I don't remember how to use BandLab. There we go. Oh, that's right. You can just loop it like that, can't we? So let's just make a few bars of fun here just because. We'll make some industrial music. Then let's just add another thing in here. We'll go back to our BandLab sounds. And what's another thing? We need some bass, don't we? That's kind of cool. Let's add it. Let's just see what we can build up here real quick. And see if we can get something industrial sounding. Boom, 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 loop, loopy, loopy. So we've got ourselves a bit of a... Yeah. And now we need something sort of more melodic in here. Let's see what else we got in this pack. So the short answer here is yes, because you can play around with other things. What's this one here? Oh, see there. A lot of these are sort of more percussive kind of sounds. What else we got? Yeah, these are more the beat side. Or what's the choir? That's kind of cool. Let's just bring that in, but not straight away. So we'll just go like that and bring it in there. Is that right on the grid? Maybe. So we'll here's our percussive sound. All right. Yeah, cool. And then we could just bring that stuff into GarageBand. So that's the cool thing about doing something like this in BandLab, is that we could just grab either that as a loop, or we could solo each individual track, export them, and then bring them into GarageBand. So let's just we'll save out of this one. We'll save it. Where's it going to put my project? There it is, untitled, and it's syncing. Cool. So then I've got to remember, I haven't used BandLab in a while. If I come out here, go to my projects, this one here untitled, we can come into it, tap it, and then we can share it. We can go bump. We can download it as an audio file. And this will just throw this here. We don't want to send it to Jade. She doesn't need it, but we'll just save it into our files. We'll stick it straight in our GarageBand file transfer folder, which is now done. And then when we go back to GarageBand, we can just bring it straight into a project here. So if we come back out and we create a new project, we can come into our audio recorder track. And yes, we're going to turn on our monitoring. And up in the top here in our loops, we should have a brand new loop, which is the untitled one. I should have given it a name. So now I don't know which one it was. There it is. There's the date. And we can bring that into our track here. And if we play. Except I think this was at 120 BPM. So we should have set our track up to be at the 120 BPM. And if we do that, it should line up. And then you can just start putting things over the top here in GarageBand. So if we wanted to then do our own really big bass sound in here, we can just come over to our basses, more sounds, go to like a big retro bass here, and let's hit record. There you go. So yeah, you can quickly create. I don't think it was exactly on 120. I think I got the wrong tempo again there. So, but yeah, you can line that one up there. Does it actually say the BPM? Let's go back to BandLab. It should tell us what the BPM was. If we go back into the studio and go to our settings, 126. Yeah, so that's why it wasn't right on the grid, because it actually should be at 126. But yeah, don't be afraid to use other sounds from outside of GarageBand within your GarageBand projects. Now our bass is going to be too fast because it changed with that. But yeah, there's cool ways to make all sorts of different music right here in your GarageBand. So hopefully that gave you some ideas and some things to play around with there. Righty, let's see if we've got any other questions that come in here. So Jade, yeah, back to the sound fonts type questions. Jade's got some videos on some apps that you can use that show, there you go, that one, and Bismarck that uses AUV3 for sound fonts. So short answer is can't do it in GarageBand. Longer answer is if you get an app, there's an app for that, and you can do it. Can do it there. I'll just see if we've got any other questions that have come on in here. We've still got around about 15 minutes left, so please go ahead and just ask your questions. Ask away if you would like to, because we've got some time to answer any of your questions. Otherwise, there is one more thing I wanted to try here in GarageBand that we'll play around with in just a moment. But yeah, feel free to put Q in front of your question. And if you're having fun here today, hit the big thumbs up there. If you've got other folks that use GarageBand that maybe don't know about this show and don't know that we chat GarageBand here every week, why not let them know? Sharon is Karen, as we say. Sharon is Karen. Next question comes from Still Illa. Why is the sampler so dang quiet in GarageBand? It might be to do with your velocity, I'd say. Let's have a little explore, shall we? So the sampler in GarageBand is pretty underrated. It's actually kind of fun to use. Let's now that we've got our cool little industrial backdrop here, let's see if we can use a sample in this one within our sampler to play around with something. So if we go to the sampler, it's here under our keyboard, and we tap on the sampler, and you've got this nice new interface that's been changed. You always get the barking dog. But here's the problem. When you're tapping these, here on the iPad, they're going to be pretty soft, and there's a couple of things that you can do here. So up the top here in your track settings, you've got actually you don't have velocity control, do you, in the sampler here? Your velocity is this. So this makes it a little bit more challenging for the velocity. So you can turn your velocity all the way down and it's going to be really quiet. But with the sampler, if you bring the velocity all the way up to the top there, then you're going to get something like that. Let's import a different sound. Let's go, we'll import from here. And is there something cool I can grab? That's my banjo. Let's use a little bit of this cool bass line in here. So we'll just use that so we can bring this into our sampler by hitting import. Oh, no, that's already imported. Done. That's what we need to do. Okay, we just want that done. So we'll trim that down just so that we've got the done at the start. And we'll find what pitch and speed this is going to work at. All right, so we need to, you're right though, it is a bit quieter. I'll give you some tips on how we can fix this in a minute. What we'll do is, we'll just record in some little sampled sounds here doing a dirt bit. All right, so just recorded in some little doots in here. What we can then do is come in here and turn this sucker down a little bit, and we can turn this one up. So we should get... You are right though. I've never really played with the sampler a lot, but you're right that the sampler doesn't give you... I'm going to move this so we don't have that sound in there. But yeah, even with its maximum velocity and maximum volume, it is pretty quiet. So let's come in here to our settings and we can turn the velocity up to plus 99. Is that going to do anything here in the sampler? Nope. It's not, because we already sampled it at the maximum volume. So we'll put that back to 0 there. The other thing that we can do is use some extra tips here to increase our volume. So you can use things like your EQ trick. So if we go here to the visual EQ also has a gain knob that can actually give you up to 30 dBs of additional gain. So just to take that back a notch to show you how this works, if we've got this in here and we're like, not loud enough, maximum volume, still not loud enough. All right, let's go to our visual EQ. Let's tap on this one, and now we can actually turn it up here. Let's just put it up to 11, well, to 30. There you go. So you can get some volume doing it that way. We'll turn that off because the other option you have is once you've got your sample track in here, what you can do is convert it into a WAV file. So you can use the merge option here. So if we grab this and we tap on this bit here and we hit the merge button, what this will do is it'll ask us which tracks we want to merge. We just want to merge down this one, hit the merge button, and that'll actually turn it into an audio track. And you can see it's instantly normalized the volume. So it's going to have much louder volume here. So now we can turn it back down. I actually kind of like that. I kind of dig that. So now we'll just, we can loop that out. All right, so now we've got our little industrial loop here. Cool. So yeah, there's a few tips, but you're right. I hadn't played with the sampler in a long time, but it does definitely bring your samples in, even with maximum velocity, at quite a low volume. But there's some tips to give your sampled sounds a little bit of extra volume kick here in GarageBand. Hopefully you found that useful. If you use the volume up so loud in Logic, your ears will blast. Yeah, it's weird. GarageBand, yeah, its volume is not its strong point. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, you do get that better. Been using the merge trick to beef up the sampler. Yeah, so use the merge trick, or if you don't want to, again, if you don't want to use the merge trick and lose the ability to edit the MIDI notes, use that the Visual EQ hack. So just go to Visual EQ and bump that gain. That way you don't have to go and lose the ability to change your notes if you want to. Why am I getting Olivia Rodrigo bass? I don't know. I don't really know what that is. I'm so old. I think I saw Weary Pirates in here. Hello to you. Hello to anyone I haven't said g'day to. Got about 10 minutes left, so if anyone has any additional question, there's Weary Pirates. Yeah, bit of cowbell, a bit of barking dog, and you're all good to go. Question here from Jordan G says, how long will it take me for my album literally be all up on all stores, because I literally turned it on yesterday, DistroKid, and then paid about $80. I'm DistroKid and then paid about $80. What was the $80 for, Jordan? What did you pay? Hopefully not to a promotion service, and if it was, I really, really hope it was a legitimate one and not someone that's going to generate your streams that are going to get your album removed, because that does happen. But yeah, if you've paid for someone to promote or playlist placement, always be super duper careful. There's about, for every one legitimate promotion service out there, there's about 99 dodgy ones. That might be a slight exaggeration, but it's not far off the truth. But yeah, in terms of releasing your music, once you upload to DistroKid, and DistroKid is $19.99 for your yearly plan on the musician plan, $35.99 for Musician Plus, and starting at $79.99 for the label plan. But yeah, if you have released it, it's usually in the vicinity of about 2 to 3 days for most platforms. Spotify traditionally has taken an extra day or two. Apple Music can sometimes hit their manual review process, because Apple are a little bit more pedantic, so that might take an extra day or two as well. But usually within about a week, you're going to have it up on most platforms. If you just hit the give it to me as fast as possible. If you hit that button, then it'll usually take around about a week. So, yeah, hopefully that helped you out with that one. DistroKid, yeah, they really are getting faster. At the very start of the P word, where the C word happened, the global P word, they had so many people releasing music. Like, everyone got into home recording, everyone made their own songs, and everyone wanted to release their lockdown song, that DistroKid got a little bit lagged, and people got their knickers in a twist. They've never really said it's going to be X amount of time, because the problem is a lot of it really comes down to the backlogs at the distributor side. So DistroKid have actually got a really good and fast system now. You'll see it. You'll get the notification back saying artwork approved, album approved, everything approved. It's out there. It's gone to the stores. And then they'll tell you once the stores have actually put it up live. But they literally have zero control. DistroKid used to be partially owned by Spotify, so I guess you could argue that they used to have a little bit of an influence there, but now they're not. Now they're completely independent, so they don't have their fingers in any pies of any distributor, of any of the platforms, which is which is where you want to be. You want to be independent when it comes to that stuff. You do not want to be beholden to it. At one point, Spotify were dabbling in the process where they would have direct uploads to Spotify. And I think that's dangerous for a number of reasons. You don't really want the end platform owning the distribution and then the releasing of your songs. I think it's better to have it separated out. And who wants to be just on Spotify when you can upload to DistroKid and be on literally hundreds of platforms at once? You might as well be. If someone like me that uses YouTube Music, I don't care if you're on Spotify. I'm not going to listen on Spotify. I don't pay for Spotify. I'm not going to use Spotify. I'm going to be using YouTube Music. All right, hello to Mobile Music Pro. I hope you are well. Vortex, thanks for dropping on by. The label plan, yeah, cool. So $80, so $79.99. The label plan, that gives you 5 artist names. So it gives you everything in the $35.99 Musician Plus plan, but it gives you 5 different labels, 5 different artists to choose from. Hey, it's Ron Ward. Speaking of Ron Ward, we better check in and see, is Ron Ward live? He's usually live straight after this show, and it's usually a good old time over there. It's usually a good place to be. He is indeed. What's he doing today? It's Ron. Hang on. It's Ron Ready Doggy Licks. Ron Ready Doggy Licks is what you are going to go and watch next. Yeah. Okay. Moon. Yeah. So Ron has an adorable dog. Yeah. I'll have to grab Basil. Send your tracks about dogs. I've got a song about goats. Ron, does that qualify? I don't have any dog songs. Send your songs about dogs. I love you, Ron. That is such a cool niche idea there. Very cool. Nice. So yes. go and check out Ron. I'll throw a link to Ron and his business right here now. Goats are okay. All right. Well, there you go. You can feel free to play my my song Goats, Ron. You've got a song about dogs? Of course you do. It's probably some murder ballad about how a dog found some guy in the Scottish Highlands who'd been mauled by what's a Scottish animal? A sheep. It's like, and the poor old rager was mauled by his sheep, but lucky his sheepdog was there. She dragged his body back to the barn, but nothing could be done, and then he died. Is that the song? I'm so sorry, Joe and Barry. My brain goes off on weird tangents sometimes, and I love all the music that you do, and you've introduced me to so many of these traditional songs, and so many of them are seriously dark that I'm like, wow, that's insane. Old sheep, there you go. Mauled by a rabid haggis. That's right. Oh, there's got to be a horror movie. There's got to be a Scottish horror movie about a haggis that comes to life and starts stabbing people and stuff. I don't know. Oh, I have a song about a lawnmower staying in lockdown. Will never get played again. Oh, it's fun to make up fun songs about fun things. Why not? All right. We're clearly coming to the end of the show. Whenever I get close to about an hour, things get a little bit weird. I did want to try one final cool thing. Well, I'm assuming it's a cool thing. I got a tip from someone this week, and it was around the bass here in GarageBand. And since we've got this track here ready to go, see you, Ron. We'll see you in a moment. Because I got this track here ready to go, let's try this. Because I got a tip in here from, I'll give credit where it's due. It was from, I think it was Paul Fox. Let me just double check that. I'm going to open my notes app here. It was indeed Mr. Paul Fox. Shout out to you, Paul. And he said that there is no fretless bass, and he's very disappointed that when you come in here to the bass and you're trying to play some bass, we won't go the retro bass, say we're going to go like the Liverpool bass, and we wanted this to be fretless, we can't, because you always get the fret sounds, right? Well, what Paul said is if you want a fretless bass sound that's not the upright, you can do a couple of things. You can come in here and you can grab the upright bass, which is one of your bass sound options, and you can play this like a fretless bass. So what we'll do is we'll try and do a quick experiment here. I'm not going to be able to do this well because I'm leaning over here, but let's just hit record. So what I've done there is I've just recorded a couple of little slides. So we'll turn everything else down so we can hear these slides a little better. So it's gone boo, boo. And then what Paul said is it's as simple as, once you've got that in there, and I've never tried this before, so drum roll please, we can tap on this one, and we can slide across and just go back to, say, the P bass, which will give us a different sound. And if we now play it back, check it. You got a fretless bass. How cool is that? So, whereas if you did it here, it would go, wait a minute. Hang on. I've changed this to the P bass now, and it's still got the fretless stuff on there. It's not that it's... Hang on. What if we do the picked bass? Holy crud. This is even better. I thought you had to... Oh, so it changes. It changes things completely. So you don't even have to play it on that. So you can still see your frets. That's awesome. I thought, okay, I'd misunderstood. I thought you had to play it on the upright bass, which is harder because you can't see your frets. But it looks like if we just we won't undo it. If we just deleted that and say we wanted to play like a cool slide part on this now on our bass, we're going to come in here and let's try this. No, look, it's changed back. All right, let's undo it. This is interesting. I like weird hacks like this. All right, let's go back in. Oh, see, now we've got it back to there. What do we have to do? Do we have to go to the upright and then play it? All right, so on the upright, it's doing the slides. And then if we bring it back to the another bass, All right, so now it's like that. All right, so let's, without changing anything, let's just record over that part and see if we get the slides. Got a bit crazy there. There you go. So we've basically created a bit of a fretless bass sound. Wow. I know. Isn't it amazing? Like 7 years after I've started creating in GarageBand and have made just something like 1,500 videos, and I find something new. That's awesome. I like it. I like it a lot. So yeah, there you go. You don't even need to do that. But it looks as though when we go out, let's just go out and go back in again. So once you've recorded, so it's almost like you have to re-engage the slide by going back here to the upright and then tapping it and going back to another style of bass, Liverpool. No, you've got to record it first. So you've got to record something in. So you've got to have just recorded in with the upright. You've got to just record that in, and then you've got to switch it to a different sound. And then you're going to get that. So record again. And you grab the slide. That's awesome. Okay, yeah, you got to have it recorded so GarageBand can detect it. Yeah, that's cool. But you can do that. You can do that. You can play around with that and use a fretless bass. There you go, fretless bass in GarageBand. So no prizes for knowing what the next GarageBand quick tip video here on Studio Live today is going to be. Thanks to Mr. Paul Fox for that tip. It's always cool to see new things. And yeah, there you go. You can race out there and try and get that video out before me if you like. I give you my permission and my blessing. All right, that is going to do it for this show. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. Thanks for your great questions. I hope you learned a thing or two and had a little bit of fun. Don't forget that Rock and Ronnie Ward is up right now. I've just thrown the link there in the chat, and you can go over and see what the heck's going on with his doggy licks over there. Should be a good old time. And I'll be seeing you real soon. I've got my mastering just done because Jay did it for me. And we'll be doing album art and releasing in the next day my song, Timber Song, Grown Ass Man. Or I'm considering just calling it Grown because I like the double meaning. Like Grown Ass Man, but grown. You can hear that Ron is just starting and I have my music up. Thanks everyone for being here. Please, as we say every week, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Keep creating. For goodness sake, let's go Rangers. And I'll see ya next time around. Bye.